Well, welcome to Munch and Learn, everybody. And if you are not muted at this point, go ahead and mute yourself. And we are recording this presentation. So, Philip, if you want to use it later, you can. But
Yes.
you will be able to access it from the Dixon's YouTube account and YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch it over and over again if you want. And whenever a question pops into your head during Philip's talk, then go down to the bottom of the screen and click on the chat and just type it in. And at the end, Philip will answer your questions. So now I'm going to hand it over to the Dixon's Director of Horticulture, Dale Skaggs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Munch and Learn on this snowy Wednesday. Today we're in for a real treat. We have our good friend, Philip Laagland. He's from the Netherlands and lives in Dixon. And he's a wholesale bulb supplier, and they're the largest grower and purveyors of flower bulbs, I think, in the world. Anyway, it's quite an amazing operation. I've been to visit him several times, and he's been to Memphis many times to check on the progress of the bulbs, and usually does a trip a couple times a year. So over the years, we've developed a really good relationship with Philip, and he is an exceptional bulb purveyor. He's really does a great job and stands behind his products and has really helped us out. We may want to talk a little bit about at the end, if he doesn't cover it, we'll talk about our shipment of flower bulbs that had a little snafu this year. But anyway,
let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. Anyway, without any well, it's indicative of 2020, we think. So anyway, without any further ado, I will give you Philip Laagland.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Lindley, for the introduction and for especially also the invitation to in this way to reach out to you guys and also answer your questions you might have. Before I start, I have to mention that this is my first Munch and Learn, and also my first Zoom presentation I've ever done. So I was just given a speed learning curve on how to share my screen. So if things go wrong, please forgive me. If in between any of the presentations or slides or photos or videos I'll share with you, you have any questions, don't hesitate to, I think it goes by raising your hand or just shout out, or just interrupt me. I don't mind. As in these crazy times, this what COVID brings us, speaking to each other in this way, which we're going to make the best of it. I'm talking to you from the Zilk, like the center of the Dutch bulb districts, where this is a family business which is was founded by my grandfather's grandfather in 1910. As you can see in the slide, you see the bulb operation, which is surrounded by hyacinth fields here. This photo was taken 2 years ago from a plane. Here you can see tulip bulbs in front of the operation, and here you can see mainly the drying cells where all the bulbs are gathered from the fields that we grow, and then we export all over the world. Dale, you said we're the largest in the world. I'm not sure, but we're one of the largest, especially growing and exporting operating companies to the United States and Canada. Most of our colleagues are buying bulbs from us and then exporting. We sort of control the entire cycle. So we grow the bulbs, we export them, and then we start planting them again. So we have a year-round operation, which at this time of year, it's usually the slowest. And that's exactly also why this time of year, usually I'm in the US visiting customers, visiting trade shows, but due to COVID and travel restrictions, it's been exactly 1 year since I've been in the US. So I miss you guys. We supply bulbs, and we grow the bulbs, and we supply the bulbs to the landscape industry, botanical gardens, cities, anybody who goes to a good local retail store is able to find the bulbs there as well. It all started with, as you can see, old pictures in 1880, where it was first a dairy farm, and in the end, it was turned into a flower bulb farm, where things have improved over the last years. I see people are also eating. I just finished my dinner, a nice goulash soup, Hungarian, just for some extra information. My grandfather Simon, he was one of the first ones to jump on a ship after the Second World War, and decided to market the bulbs in the United States. The stories I remember were especially with his colleagues and all his competitors as well. The boat trips they made going from Rotterdam to New York, and I think in the first trips he just got a push bike, and he had some catalogs, some business cards, and that's it. They just said, okay, you go that way, I'll go the other way, and that's how they conquered North America almost. Here you can see how we are on trade shows. I'm the one on the far left, as you can maybe see, and then Chris, who is running ADR bulbs in New York, is on the right hand side. He's now the CEO in New York. He runs the operation, and on the right hand side is his dad, Walter Ruigrok, and Dick Wilberick. These trade shows are usually organized in the winter months because it's cold. All landscapers are not keen to be outside in such winter conditions. So everybody's at the trade shows in Chicago. We do the iLandscape show, Wintergreen, in Atlanta. These are all canceled. Hopefully next year we'll be back at it. We have about 250 acres of land that we farm with the bulbs, and it's all mainly fall crops. So I would say spring bulbs, mainly tulips, hyacinths, daffodils, some crocus. And we plant all the bulbs in different life cycles, starting from September, October. We start with the daffodils, then we plant the hyacinths, and then before Christmas the tulips should be planted. They use the less or they use the least cold weeks. Let's see, here's some pictures of the fields, and I have some other pictures of the Keukenhof, which Dale has visited as well. We are one of the founding suppliers of the Keukenhof. I don't know if some of you have been there before. It's a beautiful garden, and it was also closed last year, but this year hopefully everybody will be able still to go there because it's all outside, and every sort of bulb grower and exporter has their own little part of the garden. Let me see if I can share a different screen, because I talked to Dale about what I did last weekend, something totally different, but it is a very fun video. Me and my wife went ice skating, and this is the last time this happened was in 1998. So more than 20 years ago that that the ponds in Holland froze. So the ice is as thick as this. Yes, I don't know. It's about 10 centimeters, and then people are able to skate on the ice. Bulb growers do the same because there's nothing else, nothing much more to do. I'll show you a video I took. Let me see if I can show you some drone flying. These are videos I took already 5 years ago, I see, with my first drone. But just to give you an idea on how it smells and how it looks in springtime. This is April 7th, and this is in front of the nursery. All blue pearl and white pearl hyacinths. I can see my drone skills are not as experienced as they are now. Let's see if I can share this. Here's a video of the harvesting machines. This is usually done in starting in June. After we deadhead all the bulbs, then we start harvesting and bringing in the bulbs through these machines, which are basically modified potato digging machines. Let's see these.
Philip, if you could show the don't you have a video of the deadheading of the flowers? I think that's pretty kind of interesting because people are really always surprised to see that.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is a heartbreaking moment for many tourists that come and visit the flower fields. And when they see this, this is a moment many people don't understand. But we need to deadhead the tulip bulbs and then especially the flower heads in order for the foliage to die down and the bulb to grow. This usually happens in around May, late April, May. It depends on the weather. And as you can see, not much is left after the deadheading. So a week after, usually the same machine goes over the same tulips again. This was taken from a plane. Here's some. Usually by the end of the spring, I send some interesting ideas that I've seen across the U.S. All over my contact list, so people can form ideas by themselves. This was a drone picture I took last spring on a pretty special day where you see hyacinths in bloom here on the right, and on the left that's the white hyacinths, and you see that the tulips are just coming up. So, but you can also still see daffodils in bloom. So this is usually like 1-2 days out of the year when it's also blue skies that this opportunity presents itself. I was there. I don't know if I can see which the exact date was, but I think usually this is around the beginning of April. And here are some pictures of some mixtures I made last spring in the Keukenhof when nobody was allowed. So it was spectacular to see the gardens as empty as they were. This is another moment you don't often encounter when you're there and the tulips are in bloom, and that you see the leaves of the cherry trees falling at the same time. So it was also, you see, I can see when the picture was taken. 8th of April. Yeah. This is, I believe, a picture in Salt Lake City area in Utah. Oh yeah, there you can see in South Jordan, Utah, where you can see the Mormon temples are very keen on planting a lot of annual color, especially also tulips, and they make some interesting, spectacular combinations. This one is in the Keukenhof as well, where you can see that they are using layered planting. So they will use the very early species daffodils, which you can see below here. And then the taller later varieties come up, which give them some shade, so they actually stay alive and stay blooming for a longer period of time. So that's an idea you might use yourself in different landscapes. This is again a picture in Utah, I think, in Payson, Utah, where you can see that they are able to use pansies on top of the bulbs when they plant the bulbs in the fall. So they will, in that way, they have created a color palette throughout winter and as well in springtime. This is Salt Lake City. This is the Keukenhof. Some Camassia they use in the different combinations. Dale, are you getting some ideas?
Yes, I am. I think seeing these mixture of bulbs might be a good opportunity to tell them about the Dixon's experience in 2020, and it's the first time it's ever happened. But
Let me see if I can find that picture. I don't know. I probably erased it. Yeah,
go ahead, tell them.
There's a few things that that my customers, and especially customers like Dale, especially botanical gardens, don't like, and that is mixed bulbs, but not mixed by themselves and not thought of by themselves, but by a truck driver who thought that the bump going onto the Dixon driveway was not as steep as he thought. The bulbs we planted them in Holland. We harvested them. Some of them we bought in from different vendors, and we thought of this together, Dale especially, and it was all mixed up on one crate. I think it was 50. It was 25,000 tulips, 55 crates. And the truck made it all the way to Memphis in I think it was in November, but yeah, turning onto the driveway, the whole pallet fell over. So all the bulbs were mixed. So this is my worst nightmare, and also Dale's worst nightmare. It has happened to me, or well, yeah, to one of my customers in Wichita Botanical Gardens, Botanica, about 5 years ago. And just to reassure you, Dale, he did exactly the same. Pat McKenna, he did exactly the same thing as you have done, and just planted all the tulips in a mixture, and he got a lot of positive response from it. So we'll see how it will end up. It will be different than other years, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a great metaphor of coming together. We're putting all these diverse tulip bulbs in the same plot, and it's going to be beautiful. It is.
Where have you planted them, Dale?
Up by the Kaneko sculpture on the Venus LA. Do you know the large black and white polka dot sculpture? Yeah, that whole lawn is covered in them. It's going to be great. Different.
It's going to be a different year, that's for sure. Anyway, we were able to find suitable substitutions for the most of it as well, but it's going to be different. This was the year before, because I see people at the Keukenhof. Yeah, this was in April 1st, 2019.
I love that last shot with the Clusianas. Those are nice.
This one, yeah. Yeah, this is, have you been to the new Keukenhof where they rebuilt the entrance? And once you come in, it is one big hill where you can go around it. And I think they plant about 50 or 60,000 tulips alone there. And all in different sort of timings. So they have they're open from the 15th of March until the 15th of May. So in those 8 weeks, something should be blooming all the time. A little bit depending on the weather, but usually they get around with it. Yeah, here's some forcing tulips as well. And here is a typical lawn in the Netherlands in March, I think. April 2nd as well. So they do a lot of undergrass planting with crocus, daffodils, everything mixed up undergrass, or they plant it and then afterwards they plant the grass, and that's it. They mow it twice a year. And they don't really have to do anything about it because it's a naturalizing experience. Is this the Dixon? Yes. No. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, it is the Dixon.
Definitely. That's a good. It was a trick question. Hey, Dale. Look at that. Yeah, I want to also, I can show you a lot of pictures, and meanwhile, if somebody has any questions for me regarding perennials or mainly bulbs that you want to ask me, please fire away.
Lindley, do you want to fire some of the ones in the chat while he's going now?
Sure. Okay, well, I wanted to say first, your dinner sounds like it was great, Philip. Let's see. And okay, so Tom wants to know, you cut the heads off of the flowers. And so his question is, can the blooms not be harvested for sale to the florist industry?
The good question. If you are a bulb grower, you want to leave as much stem and leaf as possible for the bulb to grow as big as possible. So we don't do anything with the flower with the flowers. They're just dropped in the lanes next to the bulbs and are sort of composted. There are also flower growers who are doing the same thing. They're planting bulbs and they harvest the tulips outside, and they take as much as the tulip flower, including the stem and the leaf of it. The bulb will not grow or almost not grow, so is composted again as well. So it's one of the two. Either you are in the market for the bulb, or you're in the market for the flower.
And also, I'm interested in the process you go through to get them from the dirt into the package. So what happens after you take all the heads off of those flowers?
Yeah, so they are brought into, let me see if I can pull up something here. They're brought into the big containers, and from the containers they are brought to our facilities, where they're put in front of drying walls in the big sort of containers. From those drying walls, they need about 2 to 3 weeks of drying before we add them to the into the smaller packages, where they're again put over a band. I'm just looking for a video on this, where I've taken a drone video, and you can also see
Well, while you're looking for that, I will ask Paul's question. Paul said he's heard that you can force bulbs by putting them in the freezer. Do you know how to do that?
I would not recommend putting them in the freezer, because it's but in a fridge it would be recommendable, or well, you could do a bit of forcing yourself. I do the forcing myself here by planting the tulips outside in the Netherlands in pots in October, and then giving them about 8 weeks of sort of pre-chill, because here in the Netherlands in October it's already pretty cool. Oh. This is a harvest. And then after they have received their sort of first 8 weeks, you can take them into a cooler place where they have a little bit more cool air coming through the windshield before you, after 12 weeks, take them into your house and sort of get the forcing done. When it's outside still cold, you can already have blooming bulbs in your home in January usually.
And do you develop new varieties of flowers yourself, or do you let other people develop new things and you just plant them and sell them?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different sort of trying to show you a video, but the hybridizing of flower bulbs, so the crossing and pollinating and finding and creating new species, it is done by specialty companies. There are auctions and there are markets where you can look at certain new varieties which you find interesting, and we as growers go to these auctions and then we select a variety which is good for our market. So for example, for landscaping, we would look for mid-season tall, strong growing tulips and then we can buy a small batch and try to grow this smaller batch into a larger batch every year. And doing it in such a way, it takes about 5 years before you actually have a sizable batch of tulips that can go to market.
Yeah, we need to circle back to that Dixon tulip.
Well, we had a plan, right, to do this last spring. Now it will be maybe next year to do the baptism at the Van Gogh, something like that. Find the Dixon tulip.
Sounds good.
Who would have what would the Dixon tulip look like ideally? Can we put a vote on the Dixon Facebook page?
That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that. Well, Melissa, speaking of different types of flowers, Melissa would like to know the name of the red tulip with the white fringe that you showed. It's a very fringy edged tulip.
I'm thinking
that
Queensland.
Sorry?
I know that Queensland. This one, right?
I believe so.
It's my wife's favorite one as well. Queensland. I think it. Let me see if there's notes.
And Linda wants to know, if you plant the daffodils through the grass, do you need to leave the yellowing daffodil foliage for a long time before you mow over it?
About it depends on the climate, but over here it takes about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, and it does look a little bit scruffy in the beginning, but then again, for every year the bulbs grow more and more, so they get stronger as well. So typically here they leave it for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then they do a mowing. And looks pretty similar.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it's Queensland.
And Susie and Michael would like to know, that one's beautiful right there. What is a good mix of species for layering with tulips?
I would say if you, especially in the Memphis area, I recommend to use Darwin hybrids and single lates. But then if you want to add some early varieties to it, you can use some triumphs or single earlies, or even species tulips, which do well in the Midwest. So in that way, you can have an early, mid, and late season tulip either put in the same sort of hole, or depends on how you do it, if you want to tilt the soil or if you want to dig a larger hole and put 3 different bulbs in that same hole. That is how some people plant the tulips as well, pretty close to each other, and they will come up right after each other.
Okay, well, Molly has a question, and it is, why are the daffodil bulbs grown in the Netherlands that I buy from you so much larger than the bulbs I buy from Jason Delaney that he grows in Illinois? I know.
Jason is a good friend. Jason has also spoken. Hi, Molly. Thanks for the question. Hi, Cannon. Jason has a farm where I've been in Illinois, and his soil is very, very much different than our soil. So his soil conditions mainly are a little bit different than ours, and the climate is just yeah, a lot different. Plus the techniques and all the electronical equipment which has been improving over the last years here. It's all been put sort of up to scale. Yeah, sorry, but he's got a great selection.
And so I want to know if you have a favorite bulb, a favorite type of tulip, or a favorite flower in general that you grow.
Yeah, I do. And Dale always plants also quite a few of them. It's Van Eyck. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Because yeah, I think it's this variety. Dale, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the Van Eyck mixture. So it sort of starts off almost orangey, and then it goes into pink, and then goes into purple, and it's just a very strong, good performing tulip, which I like because it fades colors throughout the season.
In that picture, it's just getting started.
Yes, yeah, and I like combinations like this where you can see different types of flowers in bloom at the same time, but they're still all bulbs. So here you can see the fritillaria, you can see some scilla, you can see tulips, but as well as daffodils. Of course, this picture is almost from a sort of picture book because it doesn't stay like this for a long time. But if you can manage to get it right in such a way, yeah, that's what I like to do when I plant my bulbs at home.
Well, that is the last of the questions I have, but if anyone would like to unmute and ask, oh, one more question just popped up from Linda. Did the Dixon have success with the species tulip Lady Jane? Dale, do you know the answer to that?
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. All of those Clusianas have been really, really strong for us. They will diminish over time, and I think the critters probably eat some of them, but they do come back. And we will see this year, because last year we had a very nice species tulip display, and of course nobody got to see it because of COVID, and we left all the bulbs in the ground. So hopefully some of them will come back and bless us again this year. So, but yes, Clusiana is a great one. Any of them.
Yeah, Lady Jane especially is. I think it originates from the high mountains somewhere in Turkey, and it's used to rocky soil. So it's in that respect, it's used to a lot of dry and heat. So that's why it's performing well in the Midwest.
So Dale, you mentioned the tulips being left in the ground. I know that we at the Dixon usually take ours back out of the ground. Can you, in Memphis, just plant some tulips and leave them there and have tulips year after year? Or how many years would they last?
We found that if you have like a fresh plot of land that has never had tulips planted on it, and you plant something like the Darwin hybrids, that you can get them to come back the second year and maybe the third and maybe in the fourth year, but each year they're going to be diminished. Our soils are just not conducive to, you know, we have wet soils that are heavy in clay and they don't freely drain. And I think a lot of it is just they end up getting fusarium and some other fungal issues and end up just diminishing over time. Plus the tulips, remember, the critters will eat them. That's why we like the daffodils so much, is the critters will not eat the daffodils. But yeah, you can get them to come back, but they're just not as spectacular. And if you leave them in the ground, you're creating an environment that you will not, after those are finished, you won't be able to plant tulips in anymore, because that fusarium it lives in the soil. And so we want to get them out of there to try to minimize that, especially when we're replanting every year. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And Molly has another question about travel timing. She says, Kenan and I had plane tickets and hotel reservations to visit the Keukenhof Gardens last year in March. Since the gardens were closed, we had to cancel our trip. So sad. Which 2-week period do you recommend that we visit next year?
The best period to come is the first 2 weeks of April, I would recommend, because then you can still also see the tulip fields, which are still in bloom and have not been deadheaded yet. And that's something you won't see in the botanical gardens, but that's a spectacular view, which is that makes it very special. And you can still hit and miss looking at the climate. It might be 2 weeks early, 2 weeks late. So maybe even if you really want to be sure, the last week of March and the first week of April. Then again, for the a little bit nicer weather and to celebrate King's Day, which is the birthday of the King of the Netherlands, which is on the 27th of April. And there's a big flower parade also in the last week of April. The last 2 weeks of April are also pretty special, but it just depends a little bit on your personal preference.
I would say just stay the whole month of April. That sounds great.
Yes, why not? If it's possible, why not?
That sounds like the perfect solution to me. Well, that was the last question I had. If anybody has any last questions, you can quickly type it in, or you can just unmute and ask, or you can also unmute and just tell Philip thank you or anything else. So it's a free-for-all. Have at it.
This is Keith. I have a question, and that is, do you provide the tulips for the Pella, Iowa Tulip Festival for their extensive gardens?
We've done so in the past, Keith. Yes. They also the young greenhouses is a customer in Pella, and also it is a bid they send out. As many cities, they have to send it out by bid. So 1 year the one company gets it, and the other year the other company gets it. I guess that's how it goes in some cases.
Thank you.
But it's a great festival. I've been there many times. It's a pretty little village.
It is. It's gorgeous.
Have you been there?
We have tulips blooming by our mailbox that bloom beautifully every year and have been blooming since we moved in here in 2005. They were here when we arrived.
And that's in Memphis or in Pella?
That's in Covington.
Okay. And is it in a bit of a shady spot during summer?
Full sun.
Okay. What is the variety's name, please?
I have no earthly idea. They were there they're beautiful, bright red, and I have no idea what they are. They were here when we moved in.
That's it. Yeah,
It must-
sometimes.
So it must be a really dry spot because that is the exception.
Yeah,
But
Yes.
and we have not touched them. We've just left them alone.
what a tree! What a tree!
It sounds like an orchid.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
leave it
Just
alone.
leave it alone.
I
Thank you
saw
very
a question on chat that you didn't get to, Lindley, and that was where can you buy your bulbs in Memphis?
Buy them at Dale's. He's got the best price. At the Dixon galleries. We're doing a full sale this year. And
When will that be?
we still have to talk about it. And in Memphis, Dale, remind me. I have to look it up, but I think there is a garden center that is offering our bulbs. What is the most famous garden center, Dale, where Tom used to work? I'll get to it. I'll let Dale know and look it up, especially. But there's places in Memphis where our bulbs are sold. Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
Dale, could that possibly be Dan West?
Yes, I believe so. Dale, you're on mute.
It's Kevin Sharp at the Dixon. And Paul, just to answer your question, along about May, you can pull up as many tulips as you like at the Dixon. Thousands of them.
Really?
Really?
Well, it is an idea because I know of other botanical gardens that are saving on labor and are giving something back to the community and having volunteers come into the gardens and fill up the bags, and then the bags are sold for $5 a piece or something with I don't know how many bulbs in it. So I like your thinking, Kevin.
That sounds like a plan, Kevin. I'll put that on my calendar for May.
I'll call you, Paul.
All right, Kevin, thanks.
That's the way to
I'm
go.
wondering why we didn't start doing this years ago, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm wondering too.
Well, does anyone have any last questions for Philip?
Is there an online catalog?
Yeah, I think our new catalog is about to be published. Let me see if I can, if it's it will be published for upcoming fall in the within the next few weeks, and I'll ask Dale and the Dixon to put a link on Facebook or on website, or I'll see if I can find something now.
Philip, what is your website?
Well, our website in the Netherlands, the growing operation is called Ruigrok Flowerbulbs.com, and then our US operation is ADR Bulbs, where the R stands for Ruigrok as well, but we work very closely together.
What do you say? RUR?
ADR, I think.
ADR?
Okay, thank you. So people can go there and maybe find.
Yeah, the
people to
ADR
order.
website, you can if you have a business, you can buy wholesale flower bulbs starting there within the next couple of weeks. You can start making your reservations, and we will only bill you after we ship you. So if you sort of order your bulbs now, and you will have them shipped in November, that's a possibility. And I think the order minimum is like $200. So if you all get together, we can ship it to Dale, but it should not fall over. That's the only thing.
I don't know.
Yes, as long as the truck driver straps everything,
Oh,
down well,
wonderful.
everything will be great.
Yes.
Well, we've got people in the chat telling you thank you. It was awesome. And yes, thank you very much, Philip. And have a good evening. And I hope your kids get a nice rest now that they're in bed.
They are in bed, and maybe we could do it again at a moment where I can call in live from the bulb fields when the times are a little bit different and everything's in bloom. So we can have a live view. Let's see, my time. It will be a little bit early for you, but we have to see what we can do there.
We'll have to work out times. Okay.
Yeah, 7 hours.
Now
It's
I
a 7-hour
unmute.
time gap we have to cross.
I couldn't unmute there for a while. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, thank you, Philip.
No worries, got you.
Okay, I am.
Thank
going
you all. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And spring is around the corner. I think they're projecting here 70 degrees for this weekend. Last weekend it was here 1. So things will change soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Philip. It was wonderful.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.